All right, three, two, one. Welcome everybody to the Petlanta podcast, the place and space where we share pet care lovers and pet care entrepreneurs share their stories so that the world knows who's taking care of their fur babies. Today we have Beverly Means with Transition Pet Care. And I just wanted to highlight her business and the wonderful work that she's doing in Decatur. And Beverly, the floor is yours. And just to tell everybody what you do and how you got started.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Wayne, for having me on today. I'm really excited to share about the nonprofit. So, as you mentioned, I'm Beverly. I'm the founder of Transitions Pet Care. We are a nonprofit here in Atlanta. We started in 2020, and we provide free pet care, such as free dog walking for pet owners who are experiencing or diagnosed with a major illness, or if they have a major injury, or if they're recovering from surgery and they just need that physical help with taking care of their pets. We provide that service for free, as well as we provide assistance with covering veterinary costs and pet supplies and pet food and just all those basic services that we provide our own pets to take care of them. So we're full pet care support so that these owners, as they go through their illness or their recovery process, they are able to keep their pet without having to neglect their pet's needs. And we're also, on top of that, a licensed foster-based rescue. So that way, if one of our owners has to go to the hospital, or they unfortunately pass away, or their needs increase so much that they have to move into a care facility, we can be there to help take care of their pets in one of our foster homes.
Nice. Okay, that's awesome. I can only imagine the ups and downs that come with it because dealing with pets and dealing with people, especially when they're in tough times, it's very heart, it pulls you on your heartstrings. So to be able to provide a wonderful service like this, it definitely helps. And that's actually how I got started with running. So I own a business. My business is called Happy Hearts Pet Care. And I used to work at UGA in their intermediate care facility. So I saw the need that a lot of these pet parents, they were, you know, um, after surgery, if they get a TPLO or some type of hip surgery or anything like that, they need help and rehab care at home. So I saw the need and I was like, okay, well, I know the case and I know the pet, so I would love to help you out. And that's kind of how I got started with my business. So to be able to do that is amazing. And on the nonprofit side, I wish that you were in Athens at the time when I got started too. So is it just Decatur that you service, or what areas do you service as well?
Right now, it is the Decatur area and then surrounding neighborhoods. If somebody's just across the way over in East Atlanta
Mhm.
or Avondale Estates, Tucker, all of those surrounding neighborhoods, we can also serve. But the
Okay.
goal is to spread out and be able to serve Metro Atlanta. We
Okay.
know that our pet parents are everywhere, but we're still small and new,
Gotcha.
so we've got to start somewhere.
No problem. When did transitions begin?
Well, we started in 2020, which I
Okay.
know was not the best time for a lot of us entrepreneurs to start a business that wasn't COVID related.
Uh-huh.
But I just came up with the idea and had it in my heart, and I couldn't wait. So we started off in May of 2020, and once we got all of our paperwork together and the structure of the organization, we started just by doing some of the rehoming side.
Okay.
We had a pet owner who's had passed away, like I had mentioned, or had moved into a nursing home. We were helping with that. But in 2021, towards the end, when we had the vaccine and it was safe for us to enter people's homes, that's really when we started our pet care program, which is our main focus and at the heart of our organization.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I guess with that, I apologize. Brain fart when it came. So you have your So if anybody needs anything, when it comes to it, does it just have to be if they're going through hardship or they, had surgery or unable to do it? So it's just a matter of just needing pet care services, period?
So it's any owner who has been diagnosed with a major illness. So that could be cancer, some kind of, COPD, some kind of lung disease, heart disease. If they have kidney disease that requires dialysis. So any type of major illness that lasts, 6 weeks or more,
Mhm,
that makes it hard for them to take care of their pets, then they can qualify for our services along with, somebody who's had a major injury or a surgery like you had mentioned,
mhm,
the hip replacement. So if somebody has a joint replacement, somebody's had, a broken arm. I mean, I can't imagine trying to walk my dog through pull. Oh my gosh, my dogs will pull me down the street with
mhm,
a fracture, a broken leg or an arm. So we just say that it really needs to be lasting 6 weeks or more. And we say that because for somebody who may have um, a sprained ankle or, the flu or a really
mhm.
bad hangover, those couple, those few weeks, for a lot of
Uh-huh.
people, they can make do with their pet. They could possibly afford some pet care for a few weeks. But after about 6 weeks is really when we think it becomes unaffordable,
Gotcha.
especially if somebody's illness is lasting years, maybe the rest of their life. If they're a senior whose mobility has just declined and they're using assistive devices,
Okay.
um, you can imagine trying to walk a dog with a walker
Yeah,
could be very difficult for
for
somebody.
sure.
So, so
So is it so I know it's if the owner or the pet parent may have a chronic illness, but what if let's say an elderly lady whose cane corso or cane corso just had knee surgery or something like that? Because I only ask, I used to work in a neurology department as well, so we get a lot of clients who may have had a hemilaminectomy, right? And it's hard to walk a bigger dog after they just had back surgery or spinal surgery. So is it something that they may be able to reach out for you for that as well, or is it just on the client side?
it's
Like
on
it's like if I need help with my 120-pound dog or something like that, that may need to go through rehab for the next 8 weeks.
so are you saying like if it's a person who now that the dog's mobility is limited, it's harder to
Mhm.
pick them up because they're 120 pounds? Is that kind of
Yeah,
what you're
like
asking?
yeah. So like
Um,
I taking
mhm.
care of my dog. Yeah.
It's really meant for pet parents,
Okay.
and their um, challenge of trying to take care of their pet. Now, if it's
Mhm.
an elderly person with a larger dog, they might still be able to qualify for our services just because for many elderly people, and I don't want to generalize too much because we've all
No.
seen that elderly person who works out every day who's more fit than
Uh-huh.
a lot of 20-year-olds. But for a lot of elderly folks, part of the natural aging process, you mentioned working in healthcare,
Mhm.
is just a decrease in muscle mass and strength and mobility. So for a lot of seniors, they could qualify for our services,
Okay.
and so it just really depends, definitely people, I would say 75 and older could qualify for our services just based on age. Um,
Mhm.
because sometimes I'll drive by one of the retirement communities and I'll see somebody walking their dog just on the campus. And so we
Mhm.
can actually do more and take that dog for a much longer walk where somebody who might be at a retirement home, who might be a lot older, may not have the stamina to take their dog for an hour long walk or a
True. Yeah.
hike or things like that. Or even, so it just kind of depends, but it really is meant for the
The pet.
human who's
Mhm.
struggling with being able to physically take care of their pet.
Perfectly understandable. And I only ask because, we had a lot of people who are going to ask questions in different scenarios. So we just want to make sure that it's clear, who may qualify, who won't qualify, things like that. Now, I do get a lot of questions when it comes to certain individuals wanting to look into the whole nonprofit space. If it is something that's on their heart and they have a true passion for it and they really want to do things like that, do you mind explaining, I guess, the process when it goes to with that having that idea and then perhaps like the time frame when it goes to all right, now we have to get this nonprofit going and then also raising money for a nonprofit, especially with in the pet care space, it's such a niche, so being able to give back in this industry, some people find the difficulty doing it. So if anybody who has the dream or the goal of starting a nonprofit in the pet care industry, um, do you mind explaining, I guess, just how they can go about it?
Ooh, I mean, how much time do we have?
Right. I can
Um,
only imagine.
So I will preface my response by saying that, and I was actually just telling somebody this today. I love one of my passions in life is helping people with their businesses. And because I love it so much, I actually will do it for free, which sometimes I'm like, I should charge, but I don't. So if somebody is specifically, if they are interested in this and they want to talk more specifically about what their goal is, then
Mhm.
I'm always happy to sit down with people. They do, although my time is free because I love it, I do ask that they buy me a coffee or a beer.
I think,
Um,
look, I think that's
but
as minimum.
right, that's fair. But I think if I did like a very general overview of what you need to do, so you would need obviously a great name. You would register your name, your business with the Secretary of State. You would apply for an EIN number through the IRS, and then you
Mhm.
complete a form through the IRS to get your 501(c)(3). That has a filing fee. When I did it, I think it was around $600. And you really
Yeah,
need to be able to explain your charitable purpose. So just because
yeah.
you might have an idea or you want to start a nonprofit, you really have to be able to say what your charitable purpose is. It can
Mhm.
take about 6 months or so to get that 501(c)(3) approval back.
Okay.
But in the meantime, you can still say you're a nonprofit, and people can actually get tax write-offs while you're pending, as long as it gets approved down the road. You need to form a board of directors as
Mhm.
well. I don't recommend people utilizing friends and family, but to really go out there and find people that can contribute to your organization. You need mission, vision statement. You need a plan, what your services are, a marketing plan. Um, some
It's a
fundraising
lot that goes
ideas.
into it.
It's a lot. Like you and I
Yeah,
could have a whole separate discussion of what you. But I would say people, time, paperwork, and some initial startup funding.
for sure. How do you find good people that you share the vision with? That's another issue that a lot of entrepreneurs can go through is you have the vision for your business or your company, but you want to bring on other like-minded individuals, but how do you really like hone in on finding those people who help you grow that vision?
Right. And I will add on to that. How do you find people who are on board with your vision, but who are actually going to help you, right? And not
True.
just be a seat warmer. So,
Absolutely.
so I would say one of the best places that I've been able to find awesome people is LinkedIn. So
Okay.
LinkedIn is a great resource for finding professionals. And on your board, you want somebody who has a financial background, like an accountant to help with the money side. An attorney is a great person to have on your board as well. Somebody from the pet industry, a vet.
Mhm.
We're so lucky that we have a vet nurse on our board, and
Mhm.
she has been so helpful. When I had a cat in my foster care, and this
Mhm.
cat was not the easiest patient, which I can relate to because I'm not either. But just there were times where I just really needed her help, and so I was so happy to have that professional,
Gotcha.
ready to help. So So LinkedIn is an incredible resource for that. And I would say you interview them first. You talk to them
Mhm.
about what your organization's about, who you're looking for, what you want, what you don't want. I'm very upfront about I don't want a seat warmer. I
Gotcha.
We're too new. We're not 10 years down the road where I just need names and seat warmer. Like I need people
Effort.
helping.
Yeah.
So even doing like a fundraising minimum where they
Mhm.
have to pay or raise a certain amount to contribute to the organization because you need to show 100% board contribution to funders because they're going to think, you know, if
Yeah.
your board's not even donating, why should I
Right.
donate? Right?
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. And I didn't even think about that. So that's actually a really, really good idea is just pay a raise, you know.
Yeah, you have
I need
to.
to see how contributed, you are, how invested you are to this cause, for me to even keep you here.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a minimum for our board as well. And to me, it's great if they want to just bring their own funds there. But in my mind, too, if they're not able to meet that minimum, they're not talking to people about what we're doing either, because we've had people really love what we do and want to support it. And
Mhm.
people are really generous, especially in Atlanta. There's so many wonderful people out there. So I think if you're not able to raise this small amount for the organization, you're also probably not out there talking to people about what we do. You're not excited
Gotcha.
about it. You're not, this is your leadership team. So I'm going
Yeah.
to let me put it all aside, Wayne, because I could go on forever about the importance of a good,
No,
strong
I
board.
get
But
it. No,
yeah.
I get it 100%. No, just starting off and just being transparent, Petlanta is new.
Mhm.
And I started Petlanta. Petlanta is new. Our goal is to bring pet care lovers and entrepreneurs and people who want to get into the pet care space together, just so that we can all network, we grow with each other, we learn with each other, we give back to the community. And with that, we did have to put together a leadership team. We had to put together people who joined because they know people or know, even myself, just know me and just want to support. But like you said, we're not 10 years down the line. So I don't need seat warmers. I need people who are boots to the ground and wanting to go out and meet people and tell people about our cause, because otherwise it's just here, so I definitely get it, and I we're on the same page.
Yeah.
We are on the same page. So it's just it's a matter of taking it day by day and using it as a learning opportunity to figure out what you're going to accept and what you don't want to accept when it comes to your business or your company.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's true. And, the other thing I think about along the lines of the seat warmer is there's one position for that person, right? There's one board secretary. So if you get somebody
Mhm.
in that position who's not doing anything, that makes it so that the organization doesn't have the ability to have that right person. You're taking
For
up a
sure.
seat at the table and then not doing anything. So it's detrimental to the organization too, even if that person may not recognize it, because you're preventing that organization to have that awesome person there who is going to do something.
Exactly. So I'm super grateful for the team that I have now. We did have to go through a few people already,
Me too. Yep.
Um so
But you have to, because
definitely
I mean, you don't, that one person who's not doing anything could be like a cancer,
Mhm.
because that person who's doing everything can look over and see that person who's doing nothing, and then they start to scale it back a little bit. Like it's usually
Mhm.
goes that way and not where the person who's not doing anything steps up. It's like it makes people step backwards, and you
For
can't have
sure.
that person.
And that, I mean, no, and that happens in regular business too. Like even with me, because I have a grooming salon. So even with, they see certain team members, doing more than the others. And then the ones that are doing more, they see the other team members that's kind of just slacking around. Then they're like, well, why am I working this hard? When they don't. So being a leader, you gotta, hey, I need y'all to step it up. Everybody has to give their fair share, so that the next person doesn't feel like they're just doing more than the other. So it's just an accountability thing, teaching everybody to just be accountable for your work, but then also be a team member when it comes, because it's a group effort to make this work. A true group effort. Um, I know we kind of went off into
I
that.
know we could talk for hours, I'm sure. Yeah.
Um, what are some ways that someone can, I guess, market themselves when it comes to raising money for a nonprofit?
Ooh, I know that's a good question. I would say some great ways. Well, first you want to have your marketing budget, so you want to figure out how much you want to spend because there's plenty of ways that you could spend your marketing dollars, but
Mhm.
there's also some free ways like make sure you have a good practice with press releases, let people know what you're doing. I try to reach out as much as I can to be a part of podcasts. So again, thank you for this opportunity. I
Absolutely.
reached
Thank
out
you.
to, oh, good. um, reaching out to the news, trying to get my story out there, trying to get the organization out there, because not only are we trying to attract, pet parents that we can help, but
Mhm.
also people who might be interested in getting involved as volunteers or people like you mentioned who might be interested in donating. We've all seen, the story about the nonprofit on the news who gets like a huge boost in funding because
Mhm.
people finally hear about them. So I would definitely say that. I mean, the obvious stuff is you need social media, um, a strong social media account where you're posting, sharing the work that you're doing.
Mhm.
I'm not as good at that as other people. That's something I definitely could improve on, but just trying to put your name out there as much as you can.
For
Absolutely. And constantly researching different grants. It's harder in the beginning because with, grant makers, funders,
mhm.
they want to see that you've been around for a little bit longer.
For sure.
But yeah.
So even with and so well, two things. We have to find a social media person either on LinkedIn, but I think it's easier to find like younger people who and I say younger people, younger generation that may want to help out with social media because that's like literally their forte. So just finding trends and hashtags and posting videos and when to post and how to post and things like that, how to get a catchy thumbnail or see now I can't even think of it. What's the word?
I know.
But just staying on top of it is something to find. It's a whole nother job. Like that's why I see why people have social media managers. But I would say just in the meantime, just marketing is a beast in itself. So I definitely get that 100%. So even with, trying to find like the grant writers who may have wanted you, or are looking for the more, I guess, well-established business, do you advise like crowdfunding? Do you advise, just finding like local businesses that, are really pet friendly and just establishing relationships with them?
I mean, yeah, absolutely. You could do both. The thing with crowdfunding that I've learned is that, like you mentioned with social media, you really need a strong marketing um, strategy for that and social media and somebody who knows. Because I believe there's so much crowdfunding there's so many things to donate to on those crowdfunding websites like Kickstarter that you could post it and then it just gets lost. So how do you
Gotcha.
keep people engaged with your Kickstarter campaign where people are constantly donating, constantly sharing it so that it stays closer to the top? Because otherwise, I believe it'll just kind of sink down to the bottom and then nobody even knows it's there. So you really need a strong strategy. But I would just say I would recommend, and I've had to learn this lesson too, as an entrepreneur, but when you're starting a business, start small.
Mhm.
Pick one thing. So if you're somebody who's interested in starting a rescue, for instance, then start with just a few pets and a few foster homes and grow from there and
Hmm.
continue to get your name out there. It's a lot easier to do it that way, and it's a lot cheaper when it can be funded by your board, by friends and family, a little bit of self-funding, than to, try to get lots and lots of money. That takes really strong
Yeah,
connections. So there are
for
those
sure.
organizations that you hear about, right?
Hmm.
But if you look at their board members, it's like the who's who in certain
Of yeah.
industries that have those strong connections that can get that
Mhm.
seed money. But if you're somebody who doesn't have those connections like me, it's okay to start small too.
Yeah.
So
No, that's
you
fine.
can find.
We know each other now. We know we're here. We're in the network together. So I
Mhm.
got you. We'll make it work. So going back, so with the services, so you have dog walking, litter box maintenance, temporary fostering, assistance with vet care and supplies and rehoming services. What needs do you require? Like what do you need when it comes to that? Are you looking for more volunteers or help when it comes to all of this stuff? Or do you have a specific person, like what's the word? A perfect candidate when it comes to just your needs and help with transition?
Sure. So this year, we're really going to be focused on growth. So I'm going to be trying really hard to get partnerships with healthcare providers where we can create pet programs within their healthcare systems.
Mhm.
So I'm really, really wanting to bring on a lot more pet owners that we can help, which will then mean that we'll definitely need some volunteers. And so volunteering just means, coming out maybe once a week. We have some that come out and walk dogs for us every other week,
Mhm.
something like that. I mean, we do ask for some level of consistency. It's not, volunteers who might be able to come once a quarter, eh, but somebody who might
Gotcha.
a couple times a month or a couple times a week are fantastic. Right now, we have a need for somebody to help walk a dog in Tucker and a dog in Decatur. So
Okay.
as we continue to grow, definitely we'll need volunteers and funding. Obviously, as a nonprofit, our largest expense is vet care, just
Okay.
because we do cover those costs. And the annual vet care is not too expensive, as we all know as pet owners, but the
Mhm.
when we've had pets get sick and things like that, so it becomes very expensive. But and then we're really trying to increase our pet food pantry so that we have all that stuff on hand. We
Mhm.
were very lucky that apartments.com made a big donation of wet cat food and flea preventative. So
Okay.
that was incredible. So huge shout out to them. They're actually an awesome company. Their people have been absolutely incredible and supportive of us. But just those kind of things you think about it, with your own pets, and especially the more expensive items like the flea preventatives. I mean, nothing could be worse than going through a major illness and then your home becomes infested with fleas because you weren't able to afford those kind of preventatives.
I understand. Now, do you have a facility or is it like all kind of remote type of thing?
No, we don't have a facility. Hopefully, as we continue to grow, we might be able to get an office space. But right now, we don't really need an office space either. So, because all of our work is out in the community at people's homes. So,
Okay. Makes sense. Now, when if you don't mind just touching on, I know just going through volunteers, what would you say would be the benefit of becoming a volunteer? Just for those that, may be looking for volunteership opportunities. What is a benefit of becoming a volunteer,
yeah, absolutely. So, that's a great question. For me, what I think is so wonderful about volunteering with us is if you're somebody who wants to volunteer with animals, you have a passion for dogs and cats, or even lizards. I'm sure at some point we'll have a pet owner with, some kind of reptile or bird. But maybe, the shelter environment may not be the right place for you to volunteer for whatever reason. I know, that
It can be a bit overwhelming.
It can be. It could be emotional that, the dog that you help take care of one day isn't there the next day for
Mhm.
the worst reason in the world. I'm not even going to say it. But so I think for a lot of people, they may want to help animals, but haven't had the opportunity to do it in an environment that was right for them. And so I think we offer an alternative. I really don't know of too many other volunteer opportunities helping to walk dogs that's outside of the shelter.
Mhm.
And so you get to have that, in Atlanta, most of our weather besides, in the summertime or in the middle of wintertime is pretty mild and pretty nice.
Gotcha.
So having that extra buddy on your walk is really nice. I know for me, and this might be because I've always owned dogs, but walking by myself just feels weird. So I like having a dog to
It
walk
gives
with
it
me.
purpose. It gives the walk purpose.
That's
Yeah.
a great way of putting it. Yeah. So if you're looking to get a little bit of exercise and to help somebody with their pet at the same time, and you build a relationship,
For
over
sure.
time, I feel like I've kind of built like a friendship with a lot of the pet parents. Um, so and with the pet too, you bond with them and you can really see the benefit of the work and who you're helping.
And I would say it's a great addition to your resume as well. I think
Oh,
a lot.
yeah.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something, Wayne. I'm really good at giving references. So if
Hey.
you put me on your resume and then use me as
Uh-huh.
a reference, I'm pretty good. I'll tell that employer that you're hoping to get with how great you
Absolutely. Look, hey, I'm perfectly fine with that. I love that, Beverly. It's an amazing thing because I graduated from Fort Valley State and I went to back to speak to them it was maybe about 2 years ago, speak to the Vet Tech Club. It was right before all of the COVID happened and everything like that. So everybody was still able to walk around and breathe and see everybody and talk to everybody, right? So I just went back to speak to them, and a lot of the issues that came up was one, they don't have a lot of opportunity when it comes to getting jobs or references to work at a veterinary office or work for certain businesses because a lot of the people aren't trying to give them opportunities. And that was one of my goals. Well, it's still one of my goals here, being that I have my own business, but to be able to network with other, nonprofits such as yourself, and just to know that you're welcoming the volunteers and then you're able to give back to them when it's time for them to go to their next step. I think it's awesome because we need people like that. We get a lot of people that's like what is it, gatekeeping, just jobs or information. And I'm like, no, that's how we learn. That's how we teach them. And it starts off with volunteers. If you can't get the job, I think volunteering is the next best step because it also teaches responsibility. It teaches you to be able to, communicate with not only yourself, but then also the pet parent. And then you're building relationships with that pet too. So I love it. I love just volunteer opportunities are amazing anyway, you know. But sometimes this next generation they want to get paid for everything, and I'm like, no, everything doesn't have to come with a price tag. You got to
Right.
actually, it's passion. Like you have to actually love what you're doing, and just giving back to the pets and helping out a family that's in need is amazing.
I agree. And I think it just for me, and this might just, I'm a social worker, so maybe this is just part of my world, anyways. But I just think
Mhm.
helping people in whatever capacity is right for you brings so much value to your own life. And it's
For,
just another way, and this might be too sappy, but it's just another way that you can love people.
for
Not
sure.
every love has to be with somebody that you have like a relationship with, but it's just a way to just really help people. Oh, they're gonna start barking and things. But I just think it just adds so much value and it truly does bring some happiness to your own life being able to help somebody. So
For sure.
I just encourage anybody to add that to their life, just volunteering. Um, like you said, not getting paid to do it, just out of your own kindness of your heart.
Kindness. Yeah.
Yeah, because it really gives back to you too in ways that you don't necessarily realize.
I agree 100%. It's a sense of um I wouldn't even, well, pride, but it's a source of happiness and a source of joy. Like I actually did something, out of the kindness of my heart. Just being good. I'm being a good person. I think a lot of the issue these days with just businesses and whether it's a nonprofit or a for profit is they go into this mindset where we have to compete with each other, and it shouldn't even be a discussion there. We're all in this for the the same goal, essentially. The betterment of the pet care industry, the betterment of pets, of pet health and pet hygiene and pet parent knowledge and uh welfare, things like that. So um just working on one step at a time, getting out of this competitive mindset. So it takes one person at a time, one step at a time, and I think this is great. I think this you're on a great road here. So I do appreciate just sharing and just being able to give your insight with everything. Oh, I meant to ask, is social work your background?
I was a social worker for 15 years.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I worked in healthcare. So that was like you had mentioned too, from what you experienced at UGA, it was like I also saw the impact of illness and injuries on people's lives and how
Mhm.
it just depleted people financially. And so when I came up with the idea for my organization, I was like, wow, I just combined healthcare and pets. Like this is for me, like this has got to be exactly what I'm meant to do.
Exactly.
So yeah, I worked in healthcare as a medical social worker, and then I also worked with people experiencing homelessness. So
Mhm.
those were the two main populations. And then I decided that I wanted to do something different. So I signed up to go to school to get my MBA. And that's when I came up with the idea for my organization. So I'm like,
Mhm.
I guess I'll always be a social worker.
Yeah.
I'll always probably do something to
The
help
light bulb
people.
went off.
But
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, that's awesome. I definitely commend you on that. That's beautiful. So thank you. Thank you for all of your help in the community for sure. Do you mind letting everybody know where they can find you if they want to support, if they want to volunteer? Where can they reach you at?
Sure. So you can visit our website at transitionspetcare.org. You can donate directly on the page. We actually have just made it so you can donate cryptocurrency to us. We'll take
Nice.
the crypto that you don't think has any value because we do, one of our board members is big into crypto. So yeah,
Every
we
cent
feel like
matters.
yeah, it might. We feel like it's going to have to come back. So we're willing to take your Bitcoin.
Mhm.
We can take all sorts of cryptocurrency at this point, or our information is on there too. If you want to volunteer, you can email at transitionspetcare@gmail.com. Or if you're
Mhm.
somebody who is interested in our services, our services are free.
Mhm.
Um, so you can reach us at that same email. It's listed on our website at transitionspetcare.org. If you're a healthcare provider and you want to talk more about creating a pet program within your organization to help your patients with pets, please reach out to me because I really want to start that program with you so that we can make sure that any pet owner in Atlanta can keep their pet as long as they want to, throughout
For sure.
their disease process or their injury, because we do know that that's one of the main reasons why people give up their pets. And right now we have such a horrible pet overpopulation that we need to come
Yeah.
up with as many solutions as possible to help people keep their pets if that's what they want to do. And then of course we're on Instagram as well at Transitions Pet Care.
Absolutely. Yeah, since 2020, the pet care industry has skyrocketed. People were so scared to go outside and have children, so pets was the next best thing. And now everybody's traveling and going back to work and finding it like a little more difficult to keep up with pet care. So it's just one of those, sadly, it's one of those expenses that they put on the back burner. So I again thank you for your service. Again, thank you for just creating an avenue for pet parents to receive help when they go through life. You know, nobody asks for cancer, nobody asks for certain ailments, and to be able to have you as a resource when it comes to deciding whether or not like I have to take care of my pet or I have to buy groceries. Now they have you to where they can have someone take care of their pets and they still are able to live and do the things that they need in life. So again, thank you, Beverly. And I wish nothing but success for you and your team as well.
Well, thank you, Wei. I appreciate all those kind words. And again,
You're
thank you
very
so much for this opportunity for us to be able to share about the work that we do. And I wish you lots of success too with your
thank
grooming
you.
business and Pet Lanta. It's such a great organization. So good luck with that. I'm excited to see how they both grow.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you are looking for the need as Beverly explained, definitely reach out. And you said it's transitionspetcare.org.
Mhm.
All right,
Yep.
transitionspetcare.org. Again, if you need anything as far as volunteers, you know, if you have food that you need to donate, if you have time or any type of resources, definitely reach out and be able to just be help, do something good in the world, especially in the pet care industry. And again, thank you for joining us on this episode of Pet Lanta Podcast. We look forward to seeing you next time. And as always, follow us on Instagram at Petlanta Pet Pros on Instagram. And then if you need any more information or need to reach us, we are on the internet. Of course, we have a website at www.petlanta.org. Thank you so much, and we will see you next time. All right. Let's see. So